Welcome to Life Mastery with Todd Allen, the talk radio show that dives into the science of higher consciousness. Join Todd and his guests weekly at 10 a.m. Pacific Time and learn how to live a peaceful life with intentional mastery. Enjoy a survey of inspiring topics such as abundance, intention, health, manifestation, love, and transformation. It's all right here. Leading authors, speakers, coaches, entrepreneurs with stories and messages to support your well-being, let alone your most evocative dreams.
Hey, it's another groovy day, and there's two reasons for that. It's Life Mastery Radio Day. Maybe there's three reasons. I get to hang out with my really cool friend, Jackie Bailey, and it's a groovy day, like I said, because when I get up in the morning, that's my first thought. The whole day is going to be groovy before my feet hit the ground. And it usually turns out to be just that. It's magic how that works. And if something happens, something different, get surprised, I always think back, it was groovy. Everything's going to turn out groovy, and bada boom, bada bang. It all is groovy. And I get to have another groovy day. And then my head hits the pillow and I think back, and I can't wait to get started again the next day. Welcome to Life Mastery Radio, the talk show that brings you great thoughts and ideas for you to use on your very own life mastery journey. And we have some cool thoughts and ideas for you today that we're going to talk about. But before we do that, let's just take a minute and get ourselves centered and situated, ready for some awesome content. And think about what it is that we connect to. What is it that we connect to that brings us solace, peace? Where's the inspiration come from? It could be God, Allah, the dude, the tree, the door that opens up to your world. But focus on that just for a minute and that connection. And let's take in a deep breath. And then just let that breath out with a big ah, and let your essence flow, that connection flow up through your throat chakra, out of your speaker box and out into the universe. Let the universe know you are here and you are ready to be connected. Ah. Let's do that one more time. This time, think about your dreams, visions, and goals. What is it that you aspire to do, be, or have? Coming around to the end of the year, you might even want to start thinking about what you're going to do next year. That's what Jackie and I did today in our pre-show meeting. But think about that. Taking a deep breath. And then just another big ah, and let that flow up throughout your speaker box, out into the universe. Ah, and now here's the deal. Allow the universe the opportunity to make those come true for you, because that's the way it works. You think about it, it comes your way, your head has to be up, tail out from between your legs, ready for that opportunity. It works if you work it. Let's see. Oh, my co-host. Hi, Jackie. Welcome to the show. How are you today, my friend?
It's a beautiful sunny Tuesday. As you say, it's groovy. Good day.
It's a groovy day. Oh my gosh, we got, I don't know if where you're at, but on Sunday, it was a deluge. Is that the word? A deluge.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, I've never seen that much water in this area in a very long time. Washed away my walkway. I mean, that was a lot of water.
Yeah. So is today the first day of fall, or is it tomorrow?
Tomorrow. 20.
Is it tomorrow?
Yep,
okay.
The equinox.
It's starting to feel like it. It's cold in the mornings. Even if it warms up a little bit in the day, it's still cold in the mornings now. So
yeah. So how are things at the Speak Feed? You've got so many irons in the, it's really hard for me to keep track of you. Not that I should be keeping track of you, but I look and I'm like, goodness gracious, she's just on fire.
Well, if I was collecting funding commiserate to my busyness, it would be awesome. However, it's been a tough year for nonprofits, and we are no different. And so we just keep chugging along and waiting for those miracles to happen. We've got a lot of kids that that want to be part of our courses, and we've got funds that are running low, and we have to limit right now. So I hate to do that. I hate to do that. We've got to find those people who really want to support kids and make them strong and give them empowering voices. And our guest today is doing that in a different way than I am doing, but all the same. And now is the time to really support our kids, because this pandemic has been brutal for them in so many ways.
And you have this, how's the book thing going? You have your students and you've got them all jazzed about writing a book. They're each going to have a chapter. Tell us a little bit more about that.
Yeah. We were approached by a publishing company that said, hey, we do compilation books for business owners, charge them a lot of money to write just one chapter of a book. And they said, we want to do this for your nonprofit and let your kids become authors. And they're giving us a wonderful discount, just a flat fee. However, we still need to be able to pay them. So we're doing this fundraiser. We're trying to get $10,000 to help 40 of our students to write a chapter of this book. I'm doing some workshops for those who are interested to help them hone in on what their chapter could be about.
Cool.
And I worked through some exercises with some students the other day, and they came to the workshop not having any clue what they had to say in a chapter of a book. And by the time this 90-minute workshop was over, excitement reigned, because they're like, I know what I want to write. I know what I want to write. And it's really exciting to give them those aha moments and to realize that they have something valuable to offer the world. And most kids don't know that. And so when you can plant that seed in their head and their heart that they are worthy of being heard, that's tremendous power, tremendous power.
That is.
So you can help us with that, please. We're like I said, we're raising $10,000 so that 40 of these students of ours can be empowered through the chapter that they write.
And where do our listeners go?
They go to speakfeedlead.org, right behind me, Speak Feed Lead. And you can go to our Make a Difference tab on our page. And then you're going to see a little button that says sponsor a young author. And you can just click on that and you can be part of that. If you want to specify it for one specific student of ours, you're welcome to do that. So if grandma and grandpa are listening, Uncle Bob and Aunt Joe or whatever, if they're listening and they want to be part of helping their student, their child have this book, then they can put that on the form and we'll put it for that child. So yeah, it's an awesome thing. It'll be fun.
We're throwing it out there to the universe and we want to support this. I think this is a really cool, what a great way to empower kids and to give them the power, their own personal power to know they can accomplish something like that. And it's not out of their reach. This is a real deal.
Well, this is a true story. When I was in 8th grade, I had just moved into a brand new school because we had moved across town. I was in the throes of my abuse at home, and I was in this new school, and one of the first assignments we had in our English class was to write a fictional story. And we were given a theme. It had to do something with early America, something like that. So I wrote this fictional story about a Native American boy. And after I turned it in, about a week later, the teacher stood up in front of the class and she said, Jackie, your story was amazing. And I have given you an A++ grade. And she said it in front of the whole class. And I was like, for the first time in my life, I felt like somebody.
Yeah.
I felt like I had talent. I felt like I mattered a little bit. And that was such a pivotal point for me, because from that moment on, I felt like I want to be an author. I want to someday write a book. And of course, I've been able to accomplish that. But that little bit was what planted the seed for me. And so I'm hoping that what we're doing for our students is a little bit, even just a tiny bit of that, because it mattered so much to me.
I'd say it would be a big part of that. An author is born, at least understanding nothing's unobtainable. Right. That you can do anything.
Yep. Yeah, it was pretty
Your heart
cool.
and your mind. Yeah.
Yeah.
Cool, cool, cool. I want to
Yeah.
remind the listeners that today's show page is at www.lifemasteryradio.net. We have a link to our guest there if you want to explore it some more. While you're there, sign up for the newsletter. The newsletter goes out once a week. Jackie spends a lot of time with it, and she highlights who's been on the show and who's coming on the show, along with her most recent blog post, Talk About a Writer, about who was on the show and what we learned from the show. I'm always amazed. It's always a good read. I'm sitting here and she comes up with these things like, where did that come from? How did she get that out of that? That's pretty cool. So it reviews it for me and anchors it for me. So it's pretty cool.
And it's nice to know that our guests enjoy it. It means so much to me when they say, oh my gosh, that was an amazing blog post. Thank you so much for sharing that. I'm going to share that with my tribe. That's really cool because it just gives them more value for their, bang for their buck or whatever, as to what they're trying to accomplish, and getting an outside perspective like that, I can only imagine is really powerful for them. Totally. So I'm happy to be part of that.
Yeah, I'm happy you're part of it too, because it is amazing. And it brings a connection that creates that bond even stronger because of that, and spreads the word. So it's pretty cool. So go there, check it out, lifemasteryradio.net or .com. Both Jackie and I's book is there. You will just love both of our books. Read them, give us some feedback, check it out. And tell a friend about the show. That's the only thing that I really ask. This is a really cool show. Jackie and I have a blast. This really is our way of giving back and supplying people with great thoughts and ideas, planting seeds, and who knows, further on down the road, they might think, oh, but I heard about this. I'll go check that out.
We should do, Todd, we should write a book. We could take all of the guests that we've had on this show, which is hundreds, right? And we could do some narratives about what they taught us, how it's affected us. I mean, that could be a really cool book.
The content is all there.
It's all there. It's just a matter of organizing it. Yeah.
Maybe that should be a goal for next year too.
Absolutely. 2022 is going to be awesome possum.
Okay. we have a guest standing by. She's got this big, huge smile on her face. And let's see, this is Jackie's guest. So guess what? Jackie has the introduction. Take it away, Jackie Bailey.
Yes, I am always delighted to meet people who are empowering children because, that's dear to my heart. And many times we recognize that bullying is happening in school, and it has long been known that the way we're approaching that is not working. So finally, our guest today has an actual tool that does help bullying. And so Kelly Karius is the creator of the key method of communication. And a large part of that is the no such thing as a bully system. It's one of the key pieces of that program. And she also has books, which she has written, which includes This Is Out of Control, a practical guide to managing life's conflicts. She's also written Burger Slinger. That sounds like fun. And No Such Thing as a Bully, Shred the Label, Save a Child. And that is for parents, certified facilitators, and schools. So she's not just supporting kids, but she's also helping parents, teachers, and school personnel understand more about bullying, how to identify it and help with that. So Kelly has won an award for ethics in business from the Better Business Bureau and a Government of Alberta Person of Inspiration Award. Yay for her work in the area of bullying. Welcome the author of No Such Thing as a Bully today, Kelly Karius. Woohoo! Welcome, Kelly.
Thank you so much for having me. I'm so excited to be here.
Well, we are excited you're here. And I've got to say that your book meant a lot to me because I think I have been bullied for sure. Most of it was in my own family, but I was bullied at school as well. I also recognize that I was probably a bit of a bully as a defensive tactic against the bullying that had occurred to me. And the biggest regret I have in my life is when I observed bullying happening and I did nothing to stop it. So tell us a little bit about how your work can help each of those different perspectives for the person involved in that to be better and to change.
Yes. Oh my goodness. Your words just brought to mind a gazillion stories. So the labels, the way that we sway between the labels, like when we are bullied for so long. For me, I was bullied kindergarten to grade 6. And then I came back in grade 7 with a jean jacket and my fists clenched, and I beat up a boy in the boys' bathroom. And I was not bullied again.
Mm.
Now, depending on, which period of my life you look at, you're going to label me differently. But if you look at the context of someone's life, which is really what we need to do, start mindfully looking at the context of someone's life and see what strengthening tools they need. That changes the whole conversation. And then we don't know what to do. We don't know what to do when we see bullying. We don't know what to do when we see racism. In a lot of cases, somebody might get mad about this, but in a lot of cases, when we see it, we also see a reflection of ourselves, and we don't know how to manage that. So we see somebody saying something that maybe we've had a thought about in our darkest, most private moments, and now we don't know how to face that.
Right.
And so we're not going to do anything in the moment. And if we're not trained, if we're not practiced in knowing what to do, we're also going to do nothing. So a lot of no such thing as a bully is about, really incorporating these skills and using role plays as adults and then with children to practice them and to incorporate them, so that when you're in that situation, you can be like, okay, yeah, I know what to do. I practiced this. These words are on the tip of my tongue.
Yeah. Well, right off the bat, the title of your book is No Such Thing as a Bully. And I wonder how many people push back against that, because they go, yeah, yeah, there is.
Well, that's what I was going to say is give us a little context, Kelly. And I guess the first question when I first saw the title was, why is there no such thing as a bully? How's that? So give us a little context.
Yeah.
Okay. Here, you know what? I'm going to give you the exclusive woo-woo context of the origin of the name. So I started working on this after a crazy experience where I was hired by 20 sets of parents about a principal / teacher who was mistreating their kids. Mm. And it was a horrendous couple of years, and it really made me, look at what are we doing here? And if adults are all jerks, then how can we expect better things from our kids? And what is the point of going in and talking to kids and giving them ideas to use, but then they go home to people who are not using the same ideas, and it doesn't have the influence. So after these crazy 2 years were done, and I kind of was doing a post-mortem on the whole thing and what can be done here, and I started writing, and I wrote basically what is no such thing as a bully, but not quite. So I knew that the idea of strengthening was right, that was on the right track. And I think I called it something like, my first book was called This Is Out of Control. And I think at the time this was called something like Taking Control. And when I thought it was finished, and I really genuinely thought it was finished, I had that totally proud, author moment of pushing back in my chair and going, holy,
it's done.
Yeah, holy cow. It's done. And then I had what literally felt like an electric shock go through my body, not in a really unpleasant way, like not like a, not like I'd been electrocuted, but this electric shock go through my body. And in that moment, I knew I needed to go straight back through it and remove anywhere that I was using bully and victim as a label, because it was still doing that. It was focusing on the strengthening, but it still had all the bully and victim label stuff in it. And so in that moment, I knew that I had to do a rewrite and get rid of all of that. And I knew that it needed to be called No Such Thing as a Bully. Pushback on it, so much. This weekend at a trade fair, I'm there with my kindness card. It's a bright green car. People sign it with Sharpie markers. There's signatures all over and quotes all over about kindness. And I had the banner that I have behind me up, and this woman stopped and she put her finger on her chin and she looked for a little while, and then she said, I said, would you like to sign the kindness card? And she said, I cannot support this. And she walked away.
Oh my gosh.
With no time to even answer any questions. But I've had other situations where somebody has said, that's terrible. Of course, there's bullies. And then it opens up a whole conversation about how these ideas change the conversation. And at the end of that conversation, people are always like, oh, that makes so much sense.
Yeah. So rather than calling people bullies, you have new titles for them.
Yeah.
What are those titles?
Well, here's the thing. They're not even really titles. So the idea is that we all use bully actions and we all use victim responses. And when we start tending to those behaviors, calling out those behaviors, particularly in ourselves, that's the best way to call out anything. It is in ourselves. So when you're working through the No Such Thing as a Bully material, you're looking at, well, where does this apply in my life? So for example, inaccurate thinking. What are the thoughts that make me want to lash out? And let's move through a pattern of reversing that. And then on the other end of the scale, what are those thoughts that keep me from speaking up when I really need to speak up? And we look at how do we reverse those thoughts? And then there's other pieces, friendship skills, bills of rights and responsibilities, where you really need to look at your own behavior, not just the other person's behavior. This is really a focus on individual responsibility. So in this scenario, instead of walking up to somebody and saying, you're a bully, I might walk up to them and say, you know what, that was a bully action. What just happened? And let me tell you how I feel about it. And so now we're calling things out immediately when they're happening, which truly prevents the cycle of bullying. If there's no victim response, there can be all the bully actions in the world. But if everybody's really walking away, not being affected by those bully actions, we don't have bullying anymore. We've taken care of bullying.
Fascinating.
I see what you're saying then, because a bully, for lack of a better way for me to, a bully they get fed to be more of a bully because of the reaction that their victims have, right? Because it's really all about controlling somebody, getting them to feel fear, getting them to feel embarrassment, humiliation, things like that. So if you were teaching people not to have the reaction, the bully has nowhere to go with it. Is that what you're saying?
Nowhere to go. There's nowhere to go. And you either hop on the bus or you don't. Let me tell you a little story that I love so much. So a lot of times, let me start by saying I was in a grade 2 classroom. So we got kids that are about 6 or 7. And a lot of times when I'm talking to groups, whether it's adults or kids, I'll start off by saying, who in here is a bully? And, you might have somebody might poke up their hand a little bit or snicker, point at somebody else. And I say, okay, put your hands down. Who in here has ever left somebody out? Oh. Who in here has ever talked behind somebody's back? Oh. Who in here has ever hit somebody? Oh. And so now we're talking about the individual actions. No bullies in the room, but everybody's used the bully actions for the most part. So that's the setting. That's what I'm trying to get going in this class of grade 2 students. And so I say, who in here is a bully? And this little boy, he's way out. He's like reaching past, I am. And I said, well, I bet you used some bully actions, but I don't think you're a bully. Oh yeah, I am a bully. So I said the same thing again. And he stands up out of his desk, makes himself real big for a 7-year-old and says, I am a bully. And in my head, I'm like, kid, you are messing with my whole shtick here. What am I going to do with this? So now, since that's messed up, I'm not going to tell the rest of that story, but let's fast forward to the evening. And I've been in this community for a week. I'm there for a week. So now I'm at the grocery store and a little girl is in there and her mom, she's pulling on her mom's hand and she says, Mom, it's the bully lady. It's the bully lady. And mom turns around and she says, there's a bully in that school that's so bad my daughter doesn't even want to go there anymore. Very aggressively. And it's probably that little boy. And I started really thinking about how much power that kid got from that label, how many times he's been called that. And what happens if we just say, no, kid, we don't say that here anymore. You're not a bully. You're a 7-year-old boy who's using bully actions. Well, we pull that power immediately away.
Fascinating.
Wow.
So I'm curious, based on the traditional approach to this problem, which is pointing fingers, creating labels, and trying to resolve that, versus your system, what kind of results have you been getting?
Great results. So I have families who find that it's just completely changed the culture of their home. And they see their kids using the skills on the bus. They see, through many years, they see kids growing up and using the strengthening tools, using the anxiety equation, using the inaccurate thinking tools in so many areas of their life. It's completely strengthening. And now I've worked in schools in the past, but now I've got a really more solid offer for schools so that schools can have it. And, in one school that I was in, a guy started out, he was just saying, oh, this is just more work for us. And I'm like, no, it's really meant to simplify things. And by the end of my time there, he said, this is going to be in our school for generations. So that's what I want to affect now in schools.
Yeah. Go ahead, Jeff.
Todd. Well, I was just going to say, bullying is kind of a rite of passage, right? I mean, kids, when they're in school, they have to learn how to work through these relationships with people. That's part of the social engineering of school. It's not always pleasant, but it's something that if we don't learn young, then chances are we're going to grow up with skewed perspective of how to treat people and whatnot. So now with the internet and social media, it has exacerbated this problem so much, because now you're not just bullied in person, but you're bullied 24/7 even when school is out, even on the weekends when you don't see any of your school friends. So how does this system help the kids who are being bullied? Let's look at the kids right now who we would call victims, before, but now we're calling this a victim response, perhaps. Tell me if I'm wrong, but what are we doing to help parents to identify this is happening to my child, and what resources do we give them to help them work through that with their kids? Because it's so dangerous. There's kids committing suicide because of this.
Yeah,
right?
Absolutely. I love the question. Thank you. Fantastic question. So here is the thing about no such thing as a bully. In a lot of ways, we get really complicated when we start asking, well, what do we do about cyberbullying? Well, what do we do about bullying at work? Well, what do we do about bullying at school? Well, what about sibling rivalry or sibling bullying? We sort of overcomplicate it. Now, you need to know the signs that your kid's being cyberbullied. It could be things like not letting you near their social media sites, closing down their computer when you're coming near. It might be a quick emotional swing while they're looking at their phone. You might see withdrawal. You might see more internet use because of just kind of getting obsessed with what is happening there. So we need to know what those signs are, but the solution is always strengthening. It's always strengthening. It's always reversing those inaccurate thoughts. It's checking in to make sure, to see what kind of thoughts are you having about yourself. Are you jealous of friends? How's your self-image stuff going? Are you spending a lot of time on Snapchat? So being able to have those conversations is a part of that strengthening piece. And then being able, as an adult in that important child's life, being able to have the tools to be able to offer them. Okay, so you're anxious about this. Well, look, right here is a lesson about the anxiety equation. Let's look at this. Let's see what it's all about. We can do it together, especially with older kids. So the answer, no matter what the circumstances, no matter what the kind of bullying, the answer is the strengthening tools.
Well, that's what your book's all about. So your book is filled with 22 exercises in life skills. Is that right? 22 of them?
25.
25 of them.
25. I call them bully-proofing protections.
But they're life skills. They don't necessarily apply. That's what I found. So you've taken this niche and you've kind of applied it. This is the instruction booklet that we didn't come into this world with, or that we're not given when we get kids, right? So here is a very useful tool to start to teach us and train us about introspection, right? And what triggers us? Why is this happening? Why am I triggered when this happens? What is the deal here? Did I get it? Do I get the prize?
Yeah, absolutely. Because the only thing we ever have control of is finding out about ourselves,
right?
Is strengthening ourselves, is planning our own goals. And from there, the interactions we have with other people, they affect us as much as we let them. And we just need the tools. Like, so often kids will tell 3 times before they try to handle something themselves. And so when they come to an adult and the adult says, just let that roll off, but doesn't have any
punch him in the nose, Johnny.
Yeah.
Just punch him in the nose.
That's another one. Don't be a wimp, and boom, all 3 times now they're all used up already.
And you're putting
so what's
the
kid going to do? He's going to try to handle it himself. So this is about more than just bullying. This is about adults having all the tools they need to have all the conversations they need to have with kids. And there's material for homes, for parents, and there's also material for schools and groups, because some kids aren't going to get it at home.
So let me see if this is right. So this is a book a parent could have, and it's not that that parent needs to teach kids or use this as a here, we need to do this, we need to do this. This is a tool that a parent then starts to utilize and put it in practice and have the tools to have that discussion with that child. So there really isn't any action. It's just a change in how you approach these issues.
Yeah. Yeah. And, the action is as deep as you want to take it. So, so this is the little book for parents, and things like managing your fight or flight response. So you have a look at that. You're going to evaluate, is this an issue for you personally as an adult? Is this an issue for your kid? What am I willing to do about it? And a big part of all of this is, it's really simple. If you come on board with no such thing as a bully, you're supported with a membership. And it's like the best time to plant a tree is 100 years ago, and the second best time is now, right?
Right.
So grab on, and maybe you just learn that, hey, if I take 3 deep breaths a day, that helps calm my fight or flight response. But maybe you also start looking at the kind of music you listen to and the kind of music your kids listen to. That's one of the exercises in there. And how does what we're listening to affect our fight or flight response? And then there's another exercise where maybe you take it a little deeper and you start looking at, how do the thoughts I have affect my fight or flight response? Because every, thought we have can create that. And then a little later in the book, you're gonna find ways to increase your serotonin. So now, just through some little,
Exercise.
activities, shifts, a little bit of knowledge, you're making huge changes.
Well, I love the fact that you have validated the importance of conversation.
Yeah.
Because that's what we teach our kid. That is the foundation public speaking skill we offer every one of our students, is how do you have an effective conversation with someone? And I have seen that when the kids learn these skills, even though the parents may not know these skills, it changes the dynamic in the home when the kids feel more empowered to talk with their parents and initiate conversations with them. And yet there are times when the parents themselves are the bulliers, right? I mean, they're the ones that are actually filling our kids' heads with things that are causing a bully behavior in our children. For instance, I think there's one part of your book when you say when your child is using bully actions, it's good to examine your own behavior as a parent, right?
Where'd they learn that?
Yeah, and you ask questions like, do you laugh at or mock others in your child's presence?
Yeah, they are.
I mean, wow, to think about that. Well, yeah, I probably do. Do you make derogatory jokes that others sometimes don't appreciate? Okay, do we really realize that our kids are picking up on those things? And if mom and dad are doing it, now it seems okay and appropriate to do that with classmates. Another one is, do you engage in or talk about physical violence as a resolution tactic? Like, I'm going to punch that woman in the nose if she cuts me off one more time. Just little things like that we can say as parents that instill or could instill in our children those bully type behaviors, right? Well, so, I mean, this is a lot of introspection for parents to take a look at. May not be easy.
I don't think that the qualifier is could instill. I think that they learn it somewhere, right, Kelly? I mean, they pick up these types of behaviors from someplace.
Yeah, they do. And you know what? It doesn't matter to me if people say, oh, well, they didn't get it from me. I don't do that. But part of them says, right? Part of them says, well, I do that. And then they make a shift in what they're doing. That doesn't, that, you know, once the idea gets in there, it's hard to get out of it. It creates its own problem of, okay, you know, geez, now what am I going to do about that? Or what am I not going to do about it? And again, we're not going to reach everybody. I want to just encourage people and kind of heighten the urgency. I've got a great free gift for you, and to come on, and you'll have 5 lessons to your inbox, and then you have opportunity for 5 Zoom meetings with me along with that lesson and with those lessons. And it's like, this is stuff that we don't have to beat ourselves up for. We don't have to be like, oh, I'm a bad human being because, you know, sometimes I say that's so gay, for example, or some other. We don't have to beat ourselves up. That all comes from somewhere. So somewhere also families make shifts, and schools make shifts, and people make shifts. And those small shifts, you know, ripple out, right? Like ripples in a water when you skip a stone. And so I'm not worried about if a parent says, well, I don't think I do that, or I don't think I do that much. It's not up to me to prove
Judge
whether
them.
they do or not, right?
Yeah.
But it is up to me just to plant that question in their mind. Do I
Take a
do
look
that?
at it.
Yeah.
And so are you saying, Kelly, too, that once we realize as parents that, well, maybe we have said some things that our kids could misinterpret or see as approval for them doing things, do we have to sit down with our kids and go, look, mom has made a mistake. Mom doesn't always do this. I don't think you're suggesting that. I think you're just suggesting that each of
Change
us
of behavior.
make a shift at any given moment. We say, from now on, I am going to do this differently. Because if
Yeah.
our kids learned it that easily the first time, they can relearn it easily the second time, right? Is that what you're saying?
That is what I'm saying. But I'm also suggesting, because here is a place where you can naturally say those things and kind of come to terms with those things and the emotions around them. There's all kinds of role plays in Protection 10 about bullying and being bullied, where if there are things that you've done as a parent or as a teacher, or as a human being, you can be like, hey, I realized that this is a bully action that I've been doing. Let's do a role play around that. And it again, it's not about like, oh, you're a bad person, or we all use bully actions sometimes. We all use victim responses sometimes. That's it. It's not about good or bad. It just is.
Well, it has got to be. I mean, there's so many movies and TV shows and books
Oh my
we read,
gosh.
which influence even us as
Games. Don't forget about
adults, right?
games, Jack.
And
right?
games are horrible because all the kids play these games. And I think, I mean, I was a young mother at one time too. And I remember how glorious it was to just sit the kids down in front of the TV for a little while I made dinner. You know, it was like a babysitter. And I know that games are considered that now. It's easy to get, you know, once kids come home from school, give them a little break time, let them go play some games. But that can affect the rest of the day, because depending upon what they're playing, they're going to get their mind set on something. And so this involves the entire family, right? But it sounds to me like your program is also really beneficial for schools. So how do you get teachers to make the shifts that you're asking them to make? Because our kids are with them far longer every day than they are at home. So that's an important aspect, right?
Yes. So here's the magic of No Such Thing as a Bully, is that it is a system. So when I offer a membership to schools, that means that I bring them into the No Such Thing as a Bully support community for 2 years. We certify 5 people associated with that school. So that could be
Hmm.
staff members, that could be parents, that could be high school students. And so we certify those 5 people to be working together in that school and supported by the No Such Thing as a Bully community online, to be learning more and more throughout the year and gaining ideas and having opportunity to ask questions. And what that allows to happen, along with a new policy for schools that gets discussed with teachers and with parents, and along with the parent memberships, that sets up a scenario where this becomes much less work for the teachers.
Hmm.
Teachers are powerfully, our expectations are crazy. You know, one time I was in a school, it was a kindergarten room. And so when I talk to students and kindergarten students, I'd more talk about friendship skills more than actually bullying. But
Yeah.
I'm in there at the start, and this little boy comes in and he says, "Billy pushed me off the swing." And the teacher does all the right things. "Are you okay?" Brushes off his knees, ties his shoe, settles him in for the afternoon. And then I picture that kid going home and saying to his mom, "Billy pushed me off the swing." And mom says, "Did you tell the teacher?" And he says, "Yeah." And she says, "They don't do anything about bullying in that school."
Oh.
Right? That is a totally viable
Right.
scenario.
Yeah.
So we need to have a system where there's people who are trained to deal with bullying situations, where parents are trained to coach their kids through conflict. And then when they need to report bullying, they need a consistent way. And I recommend a button on the school website that then goes to those people who are trained in how to deal with it, so we don't get
Nice.
any dropped balls along the way. So this becomes a movement. This becomes an effort of community and takes weight off the teachers.
That's amazing. So what can our listeners do? Are you hoping that we've got people listening from schools all around the world and the country and so forth that are going, "Oh my gosh, I can do, what does the certification process look like to be one of those 5 people in a school?"
So I am hoping people from schools all over are listening, and families that will share with schools. So the certification process it's 6 weeks, just one night a week, one evening a week. And so that is spread out to kind of make it easier for people to access. And then also, it doesn't need to be hugely long, because as you're joining that certification process, you're joining the community where there's ongoing training and ongoing access to information and to question asking. And so we want to make sure that you're getting the basics in that certification. But then as we're going along, you're really finding out, well, how can I take this and use this within the culture of my school? And so, for example, you know, the material is adaptable to First Nations communities, fits with the 7 grandfathers laws. You can adapt it to a religious school if you need to. And so we want to make sure through that membership time that the staff or parents or students who are certified in this are able to take it and really use it and adapt it into their own school culture and use it to solidly improve their school culture.
Wow. And I'm certain that there must be parents that are also involved in that, not just teachers, but parents that are involved in this certification as well. So there's skin in the game on both sides, I guess is what I'm trying to say. Yeah.
You know, and anybody who's listening that might be a coach, that might be somebody who's just like, I'm looking for a different platform or way to speak to my community. absolutely hop on and check out the certification training. And the easiest way to do that, the gift that I've got for you, is at no such thing as a bully.com/home-47.
I put that on our Facebook page today, everybody. It's there. Take a look at
Awesome.
it.
Check it out.
Awesome. And there's just a button that says get my gift. And once you sign up for that, you'll get emails. And then once a week you have the opportunity to meet and ask questions. It's totally risk-free to jump on and learn more about this. And so if not now, when?
Right. But this isn't just for elementary schools. This works in middle schools and high schools as well.
Absolutely, it does. The material for schools actually has handouts for elementary, middle school, and high school as well.
Okay.
Yeah.
Wow.
It's really exciting, and it's exciting to see how, and for a school, instead of going to a parent and saying, hey, your kid's a bully, to be able to say, your kid's using some bully actions at school, and this is what we're doing about it. And here's some information about what you could do at home. It's a game changer.
Does it stop at schools though? I mean, I can almost see this working in corporations, and organizations. I mean,
you know what? People tell me that my market is too big and it's too confusing for people. So I've kind of pared it down a little bit. But this work started with my first book. This is Out of Control, with programs for corporations. And a lot of those skills and tools have transferred over into No Such Thing as a Bully. 100%, a day or two of training using this within a corporation is absolutely going to change that corporate culture, and then allow a flow down into people's homes.
Yeah, fascinating. But I would have to say, see if this qualifies. The person that benefits the most is the person that becomes the advocate.
Yeah.
About like anything really, but these are some life mastery principles. These are life skills that we all can benefit from. It isn't just about bullying. So it's pretty cool stuff. Where did the inspiration for all this come? Was it just your work and your heart, or were you inspired by something else?
Oh boy, when I had that issue, and that might be a whole nother show.
We'd love to have you back. I just wanted to say,
gosh, there was a year trying to get that teacher principal out, and then there was a year that I was banned from all the schools, and then it ended with me suing the director of education. And there's no way that all that can happen without a person, really looking at it and being like, holy Hannah, what is happening here? And then you just really started looking at some of the issues at that time. Dawn Marie Wesley in BC, and the first charges that were happening for bullying, and my attention just really got attracted to it all. And what an amazing outcome. I'm just thrilled to be talking about No Such Thing as a Bully now.
Well, it's those challenges that start you on your mission, right? They give you a purpose, and that we hear that over and over again, don't we, Todd? It's really awesome.
Oh my goodness, ladies, we only have about 3 minutes left. Thank you so much, Kelly, for showing up as you and your book and your system, because I think this has the opportunity to make great change in the world. And we just have to put it out there. We just have to get it out there and keep up the great work, because it's really cool. I'm getting a message from my engineer, says she should do a podcast. Oh.
Well, you know what? Let's talk, because I think that there's.
Don't say that to Cameron. He'll be connecting with you all over.
That's right. Sure.
There is a lot here.
You just made the open-ended comment there. There you go. Thank you.
There's our engineer jumping in there. Thank you again, Kelly.
Thank you so much for this opportunity. I really, really appreciate all of you. Thank you so much.
Oh, wait, did you have a blast today?
Pardon?
Did you have a blast?
I did have a blast.
Hey, that's our
I
objective.
did have a
That's what
blast.
Jackie and I
You know, it's like you said at the beginning, fireside conversation, and fireside chat, and yeah, I think you guys are doing a great job here and a great service for people to come on and share their words. So
Thank you, Kelly.
awesome.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Great.
Thank you so much. And I hope you'll come back. Jackie and I'll
I'd
keep
love
you on
to.
our
Maybe you can come
so much.
on, maybe you can come on my new podcast.
Jackie
Yay!
does that. Oh, that's about all we have time for today, except I gotta ask Jackie, any takeaways quickly? Only 2 minutes left.
I think I have less than that. Looks like we're done. But she addressed the bully actions. She addressed the victim responses. And I'm guessing that her program also addresses the bystander behaviors, which is one of my biggest regrets. So I'm going to tune into that a little bit more deeper and see how I can get over that regret. So thank you, Kelly. I appreciate it.
Thank you.
Strengthen
Thank you both.
everyone.
Bye-bye for now. Remember, make it a great day. It's all about choice. See ya.
Right.